let's say you send 50 connection requests a day. If 15 of those people accept your request, you're probably only going to get a response from 2 or 3 right away, but you're connected with them. So your content is going to start showing up in their feed. And what better way to start to build the middle of the funnel awareness and trust than really good content once someone has accepted your connection request.
Marketing is about values.
Nike didn't call me and sell me this in a catalog. I bought this swoosh because it's ingrained in my soul.
When you have a product that really resonates with customers, the word of mouth grows like wildfire.
Welcome to the MarketingMax show. Now, let's dive in.
Welcome to another episode of the MarketingMax show. I am super excited to walk you guys through today's episode or to record this episode for you. And the reason I'm super excited is because I just got home from my very first event. When I created MarketingMax, my goal was to be able to host events. I love meeting people in person and sharing some of my knowledge and some of the growth hacks and techniques that I use in person. And I did it, right? 2-3 years after starting MarketingMax and the newsletter, I did it. So for those of you on YouTube, you can see this is the agenda from the event. We hosted it in New York City. We sold about 200 tickets. About 100 people showed up, and I am so overwhelmed with gratitude and joy and appreciation that the event went so well. I'm not just saying that as a marketer who likes to sugarcoat things. Genuinely, I had to stand up at the end of the conference and say, hey, I've gotten so much amazing feedback. If anyone has any negative feedback, ways I can improve this for next time, please let me know. And I definitely got a few after I asked for it. But I mean, the whole time I saw people nodding their heads at each one of the 4 presenters, myself included, so 3 other presenters. I saw people saying, wow, OMG, I need this. This is amazing. I saw a ton of notes being taken. I saw a ton of people taking pictures of the slides, which tells me that the content actually on the slides was not just memes and GIFs, but actual templates and strategies and step-by-step processes that people can use to grow their business. And that was really the purpose of the event. It was to bring together a bunch of people, regardless of their industry, their company size, their marketing budget, to share knowledge and insights and really growth hacks. That's why we called it Growth Hacking Summit, and share growth hacks that they can use to implement their business, or I should say, use and implement in their business. I talk fast sometimes. To grow their business faster. And the result and the feedback has just been amazing. I even met about 9 or 10 people who said they flew to the event in person. And my favorite piece of feedback, one guy who flew in from Austin, Texas, said he purchased his ticket right away because he loves the newsletter and he's been following MarketingMax for a long time. And he said, I lived up to it. He didn't say I lived up to the hype or I lived up to anything. He just said I lived up to it. And I almost cried, genuinely, just so appreciative that the in-person experience and meeting me and the tips and tricks and hacks I was able to share was valuable and worth people flying in town for. One woman even flew from Oregon, which was like a 5-hour flight. That's insane to me. And she said she got a ton out of it. I will be sharing a event video. I don't know if it's on the podcast, but definitely on Twitter. So yeah, that's the update on the event. And to segue into the podcast today, the reason I'm telling you that is because at the end of the event, I asked everyone to take their agenda. I stuffed a bunch of them in my backpack. For those of you on YouTube, you can see. I asked everyone to write down on the back of the agenda a question. And we had myself and the 3 speakers sit down after the event and answer these questions in kind of a AMA, roundtable, fireside chat form. And I thought it would be really fun to answer these questions on the podcast and give you guys my answers to them. More importantly, if you like this style podcast where I am reading questions that come in and answering them live off the top of my head, then let me know. Find me on Twitter at MarketingMax. Let me know that you like this style. Or find me on email, max@marketingmax.io. Send me a Twitter DM or send me an email and let me know that you like this and that you want more of it. Or send me a tweet or Twitter DM or a email and let me know a question that you have. And I'll maybe feature it on a future episode if you guys like this. So without further ado, let me get into the first ever AMA episode of the MarketingMax show with the very first question written on the back of the agenda from the event that we just hosted. The question is, if you were selling B2B software to chief people officers of tech companies between 200 employees and 2,000 employees, how would you most cost effectively drive 30 demo calls per month with $30,000 in monthly marketing spend? So B2B software companies selling to people officers, chief people officers, or my guess is like head of HR with employee count of 200 to 2,000. The goal is to drive 30 demo calls a month, and we have a $30,000 budget. This is really fun. The first thing I would do is I would spend $80 on a LinkedIn Sales Navigator account. I would go into LinkedIn Sales Navigator and I would type in these exact criteria: tech companies with between 200 and 2,000 employees, and chief people officers, throw in a couple other titles probably as well, like heads of HR, VP of HR, maybe even CEOs as well. But yeah, that's the first $80 spent right there. Come up with a list. I don't know exactly how big that is. Maybe in a future episode, I'll share my screen and walk through some of those. But once I have that list, I would send about 50 connection requests a day, and I would A/B test the script, asking, would you be interested in getting on a demo? Here's the problem that I solve. Quick script template that comes off the top of my head. Hey, most heads of HR or most chief people officers that we speak to are struggling with X. We help you achieve Y. And if you're interested in learning how, would you be open to chatting? That's the first thing I would do. I'd send about 50 a day because I think that's what LinkedIn allows you to, maybe more. From there, I would probably take about $10,000 and I would try to find the world's best LinkedIn content writing and viral growth agency to create content for all the people that you're sending those requests from, whether it's the head of sales, head of marketing, even the CEO. And I would create amazing content every single day talking about the problem that your software solves. And I would just try to create the most viral content possible, because let's say you send 50 connection requests a day. If 15 of those people accept your request, you're probably only going to get a response from 2 or 3 right away, but you're connected with them. So your content is going to start showing up in their feed. And what better way to start to build, the middle of the funnel awareness and trust than really good content once someone has accepted your connection request. That's how I would spend the next 10. So we're at $10,080. I'd then probably take a couple $1,000s and start a podcast. And I would hire really amazing writers and, more importantly, really amazing video editors to chop up the clips of the podcast. And then I would go back to those LinkedIn connection requests that accepted your connection request. And I would say, hey, are you interested in being on our podcast? We just want to talk to you about your experience being a chief people officer, what trends you're seeing in HR, so on and so forth. And then let's say your HR software solved for, I don't know what it is. I don't have context on this question, but let's say it's like trainings inside the video, or sorry, trainings like how to qualify candidates better. And you want to like offer QAing and quizzes to verify that the people applying for this job are actually qualified for the job. I would ask that question in the call, like, what are you guys doing? Or in the podcast episode. So I'd say, what are you guys doing to make sure that, everyone that's applying is actually adequate in what they're doing, not just them saying they have 5 years of experience doing this. And so that could highlight the problem. And then you could introduce your product as a solution. And then I would chop up those clips from the podcast and drop that onto LinkedIn every day as well. There's an amazing gentleman by the name of, I think his name's Chris Walker from Refine Labs, that has amazingly high quality videos that he records. And it really looks like LinkedIn. It doesn't look like Instagram or TikTok when you're flipping through. And it doesn't have like the Alex Hormozy style, like yellow subtitles and everything. Sometimes I have that stuff too, but his looks way more professional. And he was able to grow his agency from like 5 full-time people to more than 100 full-time people solely on the back of this content strategy. So I would do that. That's how I would marry those two. And then I'd probably spend the rest of the budget on DM campaigns in LinkedIn, and then a retargeting campaign on Facebook. So anytime someone lands on your website, I'd run a retargeting campaign, retargeting those people inside of Facebook and Instagram, promoting the podcast. And then at the end of the podcast, obviously, you're going to be talking about your business, whatever your HR tech tool is. And then the last thing I'd spend on is probably a CRO agency, conversion rate optimization, to ensure that all the people that are landing on your site are getting the highest converting language and copy and design to ask them to book a demo a month. So I actually wouldn't go straight cold email and Facebook ads to a lead magnet to a call for this type of product, for this type of sale. I think it's a combo of cold outbound on LinkedIn. If you want to throw in some cold email, you can, but I do cold outbound on LinkedIn and then just try to hit them with as much content as possible. Obviously, I'm a big fan of newsletters, so you could do the same podcast thing with a newsletter. But yeah, content marketing to really become like the go-to voice for HR and chief people officer, people in that space as possible. That's my playbook to booking 30 demo calls per month with a $30,000 marketing budget. All right. Second question. Have any of you worked with a fractional CMO? What is the value of a fractional CMO? This has tricky handwriting. What is the value a fractional CMO brings to an organization? Why is there so much stigma around fractional CMOs? So I have never hired a fractional CMO, but I am a fractional CMO for a few different brands. Have any of you worked with a fractional CMO? What is the value? So yeah, the value of a fractional CMO is, first of all, you don't have to spend as much money as a full-time CMO would cost you or would be. The other value is sometimes you don't know what type of CMO you need to hire because you don't know what type of role, you don't know what type of marketing channel you're really going to be scaling your business on the back of. So fractional CMOs really are a great fit for smaller companies that aren't quite necessarily ready to hire a full-time CMO, but want someone to kind of steer the ship and maybe steer a team to figure out if Facebook ads or Google ads or cold email or cold LinkedIn, as I just talked about, is actually going to be the channel that converts best for you. And so bringing in a fractional CMO to test a bunch of those channels for you without having to spend nearly as much on it, and then figure out, okay, we can really scale on the back of Facebook ads. Now I need to go find a CMO who has a lot of experience scaling up Facebook ads for this particular type of industry or this particular type of niche. That is what I've seen to be the best example. So it's a fractional CMO, not like you're going to have them around for years and years and years. You're going to have them around for maybe 6 months or a year to test as many things as possible. And then the next question is, why is there so much stigma around fractional CMOs? I don't know if there's stigma around it. I've never heard of stigma or anything around fractional CMOs. I guess if you have a shitty one, then you have a shitty fractional CMO. But yeah, I think it's a great fit for early stage startups who maybe don't necessarily know exactly what they need in a full-time CMO. So they want someone that's a little bit more of a jack of all trades before they find someone that can like really scale up one particular channel. And that's what I'm seeing in a lot of businesses, right? Like, especially for startups, you want to find one channel that is repeatable before you spend your time and your energy across a blog and Facebook ads and Google ads and LinkedIn content and a podcast. Like you oftentimes want to find one channel that you can really squeeze a lot out of and really, really, really optimize that one channel. And a fractional CMO might be able to help you find out what that channel is. Then you can go hire a full-time CMO to really help you scale that channel. All right, next question. Luxury jewelry brand that is girly feminine. Most of the time we are talking to female self-purchasers. However, there's a large gifting component, but men don't follow us on social or subscribe to our newsletter most often via email. How do we talk to them? Should we use SEO, targeted ads? If you are an email, how do we not burn them out? Great question. I remember Phil, one of our speakers, had a great response to this, or great answer to this question. The first thing I would do is SEO for sure, but I wouldn't be creating your own SEO content. I would be going to articles that rank for like best gift for Valentine's Day, best gift for Mother's Day, best gift to buy my wife for her anniversary. When you Google any one of those terms, like BuzzFeed will show up, or any one of those big blog articles, or any one of those big websites will show up. So I would be hiring an SEO agency to go to all those articles. And oftentimes you can have an SEO agency reach out to the person that wrote that, and you can pay them to be featured number 1, number 2, number 3, or even give them an affiliate link. So that's the first thing I would do there. The second thing is I would probably create, if you have enough money and if it's a big enough brand, I would create a newsletter dedicated to men's gifting. And I would send out a weekly newsletter about like cool things that men should buy themselves, like trends, like kind of GQ style, like trends in men's fashion. And particularly maybe even call it like dad fashion, because you know that dads have wives in most cases, or even little girls to buy their girly feminine jewelry, luxury jewelry for, according to this question. So yeah, I would create that every week. I would use different affiliate links to send them things to purchase for themselves. Maybe cool Amazon finds, cool fashion for the dad. And then, one out of every 3 months, I would send an email like, hey, if you're looking for something to buy for your wife or buy for your kid, then check out our feminine jewelry. And it's a way to add another revenue stream because you have affiliates. You can spend some money on Facebook ads to grow that list. You could do partnerships with other male brands. And yeah, that's kind of an owned media channel there. I guess another idea would be to go advertise in men's fashion or just like predominantly male newsletters around like holiday time or Mother's Day or any one of those events. And what else? I had another idea that just popped in my head about that. Or you can advertise in those newsletters promoting your own men's like fashion best finding tips. But then again, the strategy would be every once in a while be like, hey, if you have a lady, if it's your lady's birthday coming up, check out this brand. All right. For a staffing recruiting business, we are generating about 8,000 leads per month for a team of 80 recruiters that work shifts from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Best practice says to respond to leads within 5 minutes. Our median response time is about 60 minutes, with 25% responding within 5 minutes. It feels like we have a response plus conversion problem to solve before ramping lead volume. Thoughts? I'm going to reread this a little bit slower for myself. We're generating 8,000 leads per month for a team of 80 recruiters that work shifts from 8 to 11. Best practice says to respond to leads within 5 minutes. Our median response time is about 60 minutes, with 25% responding in the first 5 minutes. It feels like we have a response conversion problem. I would need to ask 40 million more questions in order to really help you figure out whether you have a conversion problem to solve before ramping up lead volume. But the one thing I would say is text. I work with, actually one of my fractional CMO clients that I work with, we hired a full-time person overseas to text people the moment they fill out the form and say, hey, is this a good time to chat now, or can we schedule a call? And our lead to booked call rate. That's what it's called. The lead to booked call rate went up by like 47 or 48%, basically 50%. So definitely, if you're not implementing text and A/B testing the copy in your text the moment someone fills out the form, then great. The other thing is if a lot of your leads are coming in outside of the window of 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., if you're using Facebook ads or Google ads, you can set time to make sure your ads only run during the time that your salespeople, your 80 recruiters, are available. With more context, I can give more answers, but yeah. All right, last question for the pod. And then again, if you liked this format, please find me on Twitter, MarketingMax, or email me max@marketingmax.io and let me know that you liked it. Or if you didn't like it, tell me. And if you have questions, let me know. As all agencies become digital agencies, will specialty performance digital agencies survive? And will all digital agencies become more traditional, or will all traditional agencies become more digital? Two different questions. First one, as all agencies become digital, will specialty performance digital agencies survive? I think specialty performance and digital agencies will 100% survive. And to answer the second question, will agencies become more traditional, or will traditional agencies become more digital, or will digital agencies become more traditional? I think everyone's just going to become more and more and more digital. There will always be billboard agencies and magazine cover agencies and whatever. But I think everyone's just going to get more and more and more digital as we spend more and more and more time on our phones, eventually in VR, watching TV. Everything is becoming digital. And even though cookies are going away in a lot of instances, and iOS 14 and GDPR and everything, the attribution is still a million times better on digital than it is in person. And at the end of the day, these CEOs, these CFOs, these CMOs who are in charge of all the budgets, they are going to do everything they can to get as close to accurate ROI and attributable data as possible, right? Attribution data as possible. So I think everyone's going to become more digital. And the traditional agencies will always exist, but everyone's just going to become more and more and more digital. All right, guys. Again, thank you for those that came to my event. Thank you for those that have stayed listening to this podcast the whole time. Again, final time asking feedback. If you liked the AMA, find me on Twitter at MarketingMax. email me, max@marketingmax.io. Let me know if you like it. And if you have questions, I will answer it on the next AMA pod if I get some good feedback. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Max show. It takes me and my team hours to produce it every single week, but it only takes you 15 seconds to hit that share button and text it to a friend, drop it in a Slack group, or share it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or any of your favorite social platforms. I appreciate you taking the time to check out my content. Have an awesome day.